Hello everybody, Toreno here, and today we're going to be looking at the Apex Predators update for War Thunder, which has been released today. And we're just going to basically have a very quick run through of all of the aircraft that have been added to War Thunder in this update. Before we go to that, I'm just going to quickly show off the festive theme that they've added for this update. Unfortunately, no first-person view like we had for the last one. If you click on the people, you get a badly choreographed snowball, where they react before the snowball hits. And okay, usually they dance. Yeah, there we go. They don't usually react. They don't usually get a snowball for some reason. Anyway, on to the aircraft. And we're going to start off with the Americans, with the A6E TRAM. Here are the stats for the aircraft. Feel free to pause at any point of the video if you want to read through them. Got a little bit of armour around on the cockpit. Some areas of the engine are sort of armoured, but not massively so. Got self-sealing fuel tanks, which, makes sense. Oh, that one's self-sealing, that one's got neutral gas pressurization. I assume they do the same thing, essentially. Or perhaps that one just hasn't been marked properly, because every... that's weird. That one's just asymmetrical. That one's self-sealing, that one's not. And we've got two crew members. The pilot, who controls CCIP, various optics and all that, and a gunner. Okay. And we've got a radar at the front there. These are the countermeasures it can use: standard, chaff, flares, mixed, flare priority, various 20mm. They've upgraded the animations showing what happens with the ammunition. It definitely wasn't like that before the update. And these are the various weapons it can carry. Not going to go through every single one of them, but there are a lot. Multi-purpose weapons, air target weapons. We've got the AIM-9Ls and 9G. And a absolute ton of bombs and chaff and just various rockets of all types. Now moving on, we've got two F-16s in this patch, which is kind of weird. We wasn't expecting there to be two, I don't think. And there's literally no armour on this plane. Has to be expected, just one pilot. Also, weirdly, I think this is a drop tank. Now, drop tanks are a bit of a funny thing because any of you who've been with my channel before I came back, like absolutely years ago, may remember I did a Word document where I collected the comments by the developer Lazur, and he talked about the drop tanks back in 2014. And as far as he was concerned, they were ready to go. It had been tested, it was all working. They were actually supposed to come out before rocket assisted takeoff came out, but yeah, despite being ready for 8 years, they've waited till this update to include them. So just a random bit of trivia hit there. Got various self-sealing fuel tanks, and yeah, drop tank for 300 gallons. Like I say, don't know why they've waited 8 years to introduce them. Now, this one seems to be more of a pure air superiority fighter, a pure dogfighter. It's got the AIM-7M missiles, which have a ridiculous lock-on range of 40 kilometers, launch range of 100 kilometers, maximum overload of 25G. They're pretty good missiles by the looks of it, and are fairly superior to the ones of the next F-16, which we're going to look at in a second. You've also got a bunch of AIM-9Ls that you can use as well. We've got 6 of them, or you can just go with 2 of them if for whatever reason you wanted to do that. Now we've got the F-16A, and this was the one we was expecting to get after the devblog came out. And again, this seems pretty much the same in that respect. It's got the drop tank again, various self-sealing tanks, just the one pilot. And you can see here it's got a lot more ground ordnance. Got various rockets, bombs, all that good stuff. We've got these as well for armoured targets, 830mm of heat penetration. And as I said, this is, I think, a bit inferior in the air superiority role. The AIM-9Js have 5G less maximum overload. They've got a shorter lock-on range and launch range. Yeah, the launch range especially. That was, what, 40 kilometers with the other one, or 100 kilometers? Only 18 with this one. So this is going to be more for attacking ground targets, I believe. But they'll probably complement each other quite well in ground battles and in various air-realistic battles. Now, moving on to Germany, we start with the MiG-21 Lazur-M. And as you can see here, only got a tiny bit of armour, bulletproof glass just in front of the pilot, a tiny bit of steel behind him. This doesn't look to have any drop tanks, which, doesn't seem like it needs them, to be honest. Yeah, to be honest, drop tanks are a bit of a weird one. I don't think there's really any matches you need them, except for maybe the escalation battles, which I don't really play much of, to be honest. And you can see the countermeasures here. Again, chaff, flares, mixed, flare priority. And again, like I said, the animations for what damage they do seem to have changed a little bit here. and this is the available loadouts. So we've got a good amount of anti-air and ground attack loadouts. Incendiary bombs, various bombs of rockets of various types. Got anti-air missiles. Maximum overload of 30G on that. So that's in many ways superior to the one on the F-16, but it's got a much shorter lock-on range. So that's going to be a much better close range, but not necessarily good at long range. And the other ones have a worse maximum overload, so not going to be as good in dogfights, I would have thought. And we've then got two Tornadoes. Now, I can't show one of them because one of them is the Winter Quest, but here is the one I can show you, which is the German top-tier fighter. No armour at all on this. Got two pilots. Well, a pilot and a co-pilot. Got two cannons, and this has two drop tanks, supposedly. Now, I can't see where they are. Perhaps it's not actually fitted with them at the moment. And again, there's all your countermeasures. There are your ammunition types that are available. And here are the loadouts. So you can carry two Sidewinders, but for the most part, it seems like this is going to be carrying bombs, and it doesn't really seem to carry that many rockets, if any, to be honest. We've got a Lightning II pod, which I think is for the paveway bombs themselves. Now, moving away from the Germans, we come to the USSR, and we've only really got two aircraft here. Got the MiG-23ML, which is a store pack vehicle. No armour protection on this. Just the one pilot. Self-sealing fuel tanks. Various countermeasures of various different types. Ammunition for armoured targets, air targets, and stealth. And this is the ordnance available. Quite a lot of air-to-air missiles here. Again, like with the German MiG, they're better at maximum overload, but they're very short-ranged, and the ones that are better at range aren't as good with the maximum overload. Although these R-24Rs seem to be a middle ground, very good at maximum overload and pretty good for launch and lock range. And you can see your ground ordnance got various rockets and bombs of various types, got incendiary bombs as well, and you can even carry a few cannons if you need a few extra cannons for whatever reason. And we've then got the MiG-29, which is the new Russian top tier. And again, no armour protection on this whatsoever, just the one cannon. Officially carries drop tanks, don't think they're actually present at the moment. And again, various countermeasures, standard anti-air ground targets, universal ammunition belts, various air-to-air missiles, which again broadly seem to be the same as the previous MiGs we've looked at. And mostly bombs, although we've got a few rockets available as well. Got various napalm as well, if you need to use them for whatever reason. And moving away from the Soviet Union, we've then got the UK. And we've got a fair few jets here. We've got the Tornado Gr.1, the top tier British jet. Again, no armour. This is going to be broadly similar to the German Tornado, I would have thought. Standard flares, chaff, etc, etc. Air targets, ground target belts, armoured targets, and stealth. And again, I think this is broadly similar to what the German Tornado carried. You can carry two Sidewinders, but mostly it's going to be various different bombs of various types. And a couple of paveways or various guided bombs and some chaff. We've then got the F4J UK Phantom II. Again, no armour protection. Two pilots, or a pilot and a gunner. One cannon underneath here. And again, carries your standard countermeasures and your standard ammunition belts. And interestingly, you can take more cannons if you really need them, which this could potentially turn it into a bit more of a dogfighter. Or maybe it will help in the ground attack role, potentially. You can carry quite a few various different missiles. These are not quite as good as the one on the F-16s, but mainly in range. On the overload, they are pretty good there. You've got Sidewinders or Sky Flash. Got various different ground attack rockets and bombs. So yeah, this seems to be a bit of a mix between air superiority and ground attack. And we've then got the Sea Harrier, which I'm not sure that seems quite high in the battle rating, because that's going to be going up against the top tier jets, which I'm not sure it's going to do so well against, to be honest. Only carries two cannons. It's got standard countermeasures. We'll see which ground ordnance or anti-air ordnance it carries. You can carry a few Sidewinders, up to 4 of them at once, but otherwise just 2. You've also got various ground attack loadouts, up to 4 £1,000 bombs, various rockets, although you're not going to be taking down armoured targets with them, to be honest. Now, Japan only got one aircraft in this patch, and that's the F-4EJ ADTW. It's got a tiny bit of armour on the bottom here, only 8.5mm, and that's mostly protecting that fuel tank. Got 2 pilots, standard countermeasures, standard ammo belts, and pretty good loadouts. Can carry a bunch more cannons, 3 cannons, a whole bunch of missiles for the ground attack role, various bombs, and of course you can carry up to 4 Sidewinder missiles of various variants. Although you've also got access to Sparrow air-to-air missiles as well, which seem pretty good. They seem about the same as the ones carried on the F-16, at least for the overload. Now, China got 2 jets. We've got the J7D, which is a store pack vehicle. No armour, just the 1 pilot and 1 cannon. Got various loadouts here. Anti-air missiles, which they seem pretty good if a bit short-ranged. Oh, these ones are definitely don't seem that great, to be honest. PL7s, yeah, I'm not sure they're going to be too good. Got various bombs for the ground attack role and rockets as well. So, I think this could potentially be more of a ground attack vehicle, though it will still be able to hold its own in the air combat as well. And lastly, we've got the F-16A MLU. 1 pilot, no armour, standard countermeasures, standard ammo loadouts, got various air-to-ground missiles, which are pretty good, various bombs, got a drop tank as well. Now this has the 9P Sidewinder missiles, which seem a bit short-ranged and not the best with the maximum overload. The 7M seem a lot better, which I believe were the ones I said were the better ones on the F-16A. And we then move on to Italy, and we have 3 vehicles. We've got the F-104S TAF, which has very short wings indeed. No armour on this vehicle. 1 pilot. No gun, which that seems a bit brave. Standard countermeasures. It will have standard ammo belts if you choose to add a gun. And yeah, most of the loadouts do seem to allow you to add a cannon if you need one. Got various missiles. AIM-9P Sidewinder missiles. And AIM-7E Sparrow air-to-air missiles. And we've got a bunch of incendiary bombs, regular bombs, all pretty good for the ground attack role. And we've then got the 2 top tier vehicles, the Tornado IDS 1995. Again, no armour, 2 pilots, 2 cannons and 2 drop pods. Standard countermeasures, standard ammo belts. Can carry quite a lot of ground attack ordnance. I think this will be more of a ground attack aircraft again, like with the other Tornadoes. And lastly, we have the F-16A ADF. Now, of course, it was a bit weird that Italy wasn't going to get the F-16. A few people pointed it out at the time, but obviously Gaijin have decided to add it in, which is pretty good. Gives Italy a very good top-tier vehicle. Standard countermeasures. Standard ammo belts. And this seems to have slightly worse air-to-air capability than the F-16A. The missiles are a lot more short-ranged, although they have good maximum overload. Although you can get the AIM-7M Sparrow air-to-air missiles, which have much better range, though you only carry 2 of them, and still has a good maximum overload. France has 3 vehicles, but one of them is the Winter Quest event vehicle, the float plane for the French Navy. So we won't be able to look at that today, unfortunately. We'll look at the Mirage F1C-200. No armour, 1 pilot, standard countermeasures. This can fit a 30mm, which is pretty good. Standard armour belts, standard ammo belts for these as well. And, oh, an absolute ton of loadout options. You can see there various air-to-air missiles, ground attack bombs and rockets. These have very good maximum overload, but not necessarily the best range, so that's going to be an interesting trade-off. Well, you've got some with better range, but worse maximum overload, so it's going to depend on the situation which ones you use. And, of course, you can fit 2 30mm cannons if you want to. And the top tier fighter is the Mirage 2000 R1. And again, no armour, 2 pilots, standard countermeasures, and doesn't carry a gun. So again, that's going to be quite interesting in dogfights. Especially since you can only carry 2 air-to-air missiles, and they're not necessarily the best ones. Oh, it's got very good maximum overload, but they're very short-ranged. So the F-16s and whatnot are going to be able to shoot at you a lot earlier than you can shoot at them. This definitely seems to be more of a ground attack role fighter. Moving on to Sweden, we've got 2 jets here. The J35XS. No armour on this, just 1 pilot. Standard countermeasures and standard ammo belt. And your various loadouts. So rockets for a ground attack role. Air attack missiles as well. They seem okay, maybe not the best, but better than nothing. We've then got the top tier Swedish jet, which is the JA37D, which looks kind of like a Eurofighter. I assume it's not actually a Eurofighter, though. Again, no armour for this vehicle. 1 pilot, standard countermeasures and ammo loadout, ammo belts. And this one seems to be mostly an air superiority fighter. It can carry some rockets for the ground attack role, but it's mostly air-to-air missiles, and these are pretty good range and overload. Yeah, so this seems like a pretty good fighter. And lastly, for the aircraft, we have the Israelis. And we've got the Kfir Canard, which is a store pack vehicle. No armour for that. 1 pilot. And various ground attack loadouts and air attack loadouts. Carry various bombs, rockets and whatnot. And they seem a bit short range, but decent enough. And a lot of ground bombs there. Rockets as well. And you can carry 2 cannons if you really want to. And lastly, we have the F-16A Netz. Again, no armour, 1 pilot, got a drop tank. Standard ammo belts. Standard countermeasures. And seems to be about broadly the same standard anti-air and ground attack role loadouts. Though this also has the AIM 9P, not the 9M like the F-16A. So you seem a little bit inferior, but you've got a good amount of ground attack bombs as well, so still be used in the ground attack role. But it's not like it won't do well in the anti-air role, just maybe not as well as the F-16A. Yep, so basically that is all of the aircraft being added in the new update. Like I said, it was just a whistle-stop tour to look at all of them. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you'll join me for further ones. I've been Toreno, and I'll see you next time.